everybody, welcome to day number 2 of the 2026 Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. We're here at the delightful Misano, happy to find some shade this morning with Louise Schofield.
Absolutely, yeah, it's been absolutely cooking out there on the paddock. We've had a little walk earlier, didn't we? And I hope you've all got your sun cream on today. Yeah, it's going to be a hot one.
We actually had the pleasure of being jet washed and water pistoled, which actually cooled us down a little bit, didn't it?
It did work well.
Yeah, it did indeed. But we've got a lot of things to think about after yesterday, don't we? It was a bit of a busy day.
We really do. We had quite a few penalties yesterday, which did switch the grid around a little bit. So yeah, it was kind of a bit of a nail-biting one, that one, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of penalty markers going for a burden and lots of things to clean up. Luckily, though, one thing we don't have to clean up here in the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship is the HVO diesel that we all run on. I caught up with Jean-Francois Toulis from Total Energies the other day about what they are doing for the championship and their roadmap of development for the future. I'm joined by Jean-Francois Toulis from Total Energies. Jean-Francois, great to see you here at Misano. Obviously, a fantastic another season ready ahead of us here as Total Energies as a key partner of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. What does it mean as a company to be a part of something like this?
First of all, we are very proud to be a partner of FIA ETRC Championship. This is something very important for Total Energies. I think that with the FIA in 2021, we were the first to introduce a 100% renewable fuel in an international championship. So we are very proud of it. So we provide HVO 100 biodiesel to all the competitors, and for us it's very important because this is a fuel that you can find in the business, especially in Europe. Yeah. So it's a direct link between the heavy-duty industry and the race. So that's the way we want to be visible in motorsport activities. Yeah. And beginning by the, let's say, track racing activities was a very important step.
And what's it like when it's tied to obviously something that's so high performance with like this, that it gives you that testing ground for the industry itself? Do you make that, does that make it a lot easier for you guys?
I mean, we are used to say that motorsport is a laboratory for, competitors, for, let's say, companies involved in the sport. Yeah. That's the case also in track racing activities. The particularity is that, the fuel that we are using here during the races is the same as the one that, the companies, the transport companies can buy at Total Energies, but other competitors also. So that's the only, let's say, racing series when you can use the same fuel during the races as in the, let's say, day-to-day life for the business activities.
It's very cool how it all ties together like that. And what's it like from a development standpoint for you guys, where you have to constantly move with an industry, but also to try and also tie that to the sport as well? I imagine that can be quite difficult, maybe.
It's an interesting question. In 2021, our company changed its name because we went from Total to Total Energies, becoming a multi-energy company with a clear roadmap to decarbonize our customers and our activities, beginning by the fuels, meaning that nowadays, when we are committed to a racing series with Total Energies, it's only with new energies, meaning that, for example, sustainable fuels could be here in track racing activities or in other racing series like endurance racing, the FIA WEC or WRC, for example. So that's very important, and we are using motorsport as a way to demonstrate that we can be a part of the decarbonization of the sport. Yeah.
Well, it's fantastic to see the great things that you guys are doing at Total Energies. Thank you so much for joining us, and obviously enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Thanks a lot, and have a good race weekend here in Misano.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I stumbled a little bit.
Happy?
Here we are, we're here at the pit wall ready for the qualifying, and another interview there as well. We've had lots of great chats with some great people over the past weekend, which has been absolutely lovely as well. So I'm sure you can catch up on all those interviews as well. Just give you a little bit more insight into what goes on behind the scenes here at truck racing. But we're going to get ready to start for the first qualifying, which is only going to be 15 minutes long. I'm going to leave you in the very capable hands of Chaz Jaycott now. Over to you, Chaz.
Thank you very much, Louise. Good morning, everybody. Hello and welcome to the first qualifying session of the day here at a very, very warm Misano. We were on one of the balconies this morning recording some content for you all, and let me tell you, when it's 30 degrees at 9 a.m. It's quite the wake-up call here, no matter where you're from around the world, but for us British people, obviously it's very, very hot. Still, it's fantastic conditions for truck racing. Really excited today to see what everybody can get up to. I imagine there's going to be quite a lot of fun on the grid out there today. I imagine there's going to be a number of drivers that are really, really excited about this prospect of a new day. Louise and I went to see Bradley Smith and his team this morning. We spoke to one of his mechanics, Joe, and he said at the end of the day, it was 12 kilos that separated them from a good result and no result yesterday. For those of you that don't know, Bradley Smith was disqualified from the second race of the day, and unfortunately he was thrown to the back of the order just for being 12 kilos underweight in a 5-ton truck. 27 degrees at the moment here at Misano, 16 wonderful corners for them to navigate, and it's not an easy circuit to get right time and time again. It's a very tough track to try and get a lap together here. The first sector is very start-stop, lots of chicanes, big heavy braking zones in the middle of the lap as well, at the tight left-hander and then up to Tramonta. Curvone, the long back straight, easy to get right of course because you have to sit at 100 miles an hour and not go any quicker than that, but on the flip side, you have to be really careful and smooth about every little part of the circuit you use to maintain that speed and not unnecessarily drop just a few kilometers an hour. There's not really much wind here today at Misano either, let me tell you that. It's definitely not, it's not cooling down at all. An interesting thing to note here is that for the start of qualifying, the drivers will go to the end of the pit lane, as you see them doing now, in the championship order. So we will have Norbert Kish at the front. He's on 30 championship points after taking both race victories in wonderful fashion yesterday. But despite being quite under the radar for a lot yesterday, with the penalties and everything applied, Sasha Lenz actually ends up with a podium for the first race and a 5th place in race 2. That secures him 18 championship points. He's 12 behind Norby, but he is now 2nd in the championship. Jochen Hahn has 2 4th places. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, there he is, has a 3rd place and a 5th place. And then Lucas Hahn, of course, finishing 2nd in that first race of the day, then had a DNF in race 2 due to the brakes. Antonio Albacete obviously got his podium in the afternoon in race 2, but you don't get as many points for race 2, so he had to just concede the fact that he is now 6th in the championship, despite an 8th place and a 2nd place finish. It was a difficult day for Luke Garrett yesterday as well. I went and spoke to Paul Garrett and Diana this morning, and they both said that the door had come off, not due to a massive impact or anything, but just an unfortunate angle. So there was contact with another truck, and it just knocked the hinges out of place on the door, and the door flipped away basically, spun round on itself on the latch and then came off. So it wasn't necessarily a massive impact that took the door away, but it was just an unfortunate angle, like I say. We have trucks heading out on track now though. Jonathan Andre, there is Luke Garrett. Happy to say they've actually retrieved said door and now they have it back on the truck. Mark Taylor there as well. Mark had a bit of a difficult day yesterday, a 12th place overall and a 10th place overall. In the Chrome class though, he had a 6th and a 3rd. Stefan Kirsch actually ended up taking a 2nd and a 1st, and he leads the Chrome Championship coming into today. Lucas Hahn having a 1st place, of course, and a DNF. Just having a slight audio issue here, so just bear with me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, hopefully that should be a bit better. I'm very, very sorry about that issue. So it was just a quick changeover over a microphone, but yes, we're back, and hopefully that sounds a little bit better. I've just heard a lot of people messaging me through, and obviously we've got a lot of information coming through all of the time while these broadcasts are on. But as I was mentioning, it was quite an interesting day in the Chrome Championship yesterday. Stefan Kirsch taking 2nd place after all the penalties, and then eventually being promoted to the winner in the class in the 2nd race of the day. Lucas Hahn having a very big contrast from 1st to a DNF. John Newell 4th and 2nd, Mark Taylor 6th and 3rd. The only driver actually that had the same result 2 races running was Jonathan Andre, finishing in 5th place, but the championship is so tight there, just 13 points between the top 6 drivers. 2 disqualifications to mention: Heinrich Clemens-Hecker from the first race, Bradley Smith from the second one. Just like I mentioned, he was only 12 kilos underweight, considering that the truck is still 5 tons. It was 4,988 kilos, I believe, obviously under the minimum weight. So, yeah, Bradley needs to put a few pounds on, I've said. Either way, truck's out on track for the first qualifying session of the day here in Misano. As you can see, there's not a cloud in the sky. It's absolutely baking hot here, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place to be. 14 minutes left to go with the session. There'll be quite a few minutes of this opening lap where the drivers take it a little bit easy, just make sure everything's up to temperature. And we can see, even out of the window now, as they go to Curva Quercia, we have Norbert Kish leading Sascha Lenz and Jochen Hahn. They do tend to stay in championship order for these opening laps. A bit later around the circuit, they will leave a gap to the truck in front of them to make sure they've at least got a bit of clear air to drive into. And a lot of them in the final sector you will see going very, very slowly before they wind it up and then crack on with the laps at hand. Should be interesting to see how the likes of Bradley Smith and Stefan Faas get on today. Stefan Faas, unfortunately, having another DNF due to reliability yesterday afternoon. Still 4 points, though, overall in the championship, so I'm sure he won't be too upset with that. But that Freightliner certainly looks good. It's just a shame that at the moment the reliability has not been on their side. But it's a very modern engine compared to a number of others that come to the grid, and it's got a very modernised fuel system, so it's all based around efficiency, and trying to squeeze performance out of such an engine is very, very difficult to do. There's Antonio Albacete just ahead of Stefan Kirsch. Antonio was very pleased to start on the front row yesterday. I quickly bumped into him and Tim and the team this morning, and he said you never know what's going to happen at Misano, but then again you never know what's going to happen anywhere. So he's just hoping for a nice clean day, and Tim's hoping for not too much damage on the truck. He's excited to see that thing come back in one piece. But Antonio, triple champion of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship, he's always a fighter and he will never change his ways like that. He always wants to defend. Had a bit of contact yesterday with Jochen Hahn, but I'm excited to say that those two are going to continue that fight today, we are sure. All the trucks now blasting past the commentary box window. It's one of the best things about being on site. You actually get to see trucks in action. Right now, they are all peeling through one by one very consistently. But Norbert Kish is at the lead of the pack, and he is the one that will set the first benchmark time. We'll keep an eye on the timing screens, of course. It was a 2:02.1 that put him on pole position yesterday, but he had a 2:01.8 in Q2 yesterday morning. The days fly by so quickly that you never remember. But Norbert Kish was certainly on form yesterday, that's safe to say. We had 2 race wins from him, 2 absolute corkers of race wins as well, really showing that he hasn't lost any form over winter, and neither has that truck. They've done very little development on it. If you just bear with me, I will just reconnect for just a moment.
Really sorry about the technical issues there, everybody. It seems like when you switch to a new laptop for your work, it's it's quite the difficult thing to do. But there we are. We're back on now. So we are back for qualifying, and I'm really, really sorry. But these things happen. This is technology, and when you're all traveling around all over the place trying to make things better, sometimes you make things more complicated. Norbert Kish is fastest, Antonio Albacete in second place, Lucas Hahn currently in third, ahead of Jochen Hahn, Rene Reinert, Steffi Halm, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, and Bradley Smith, once again going well in qualifying, doing wonderful things. He's going to be really fired up after yesterday, but right now, he's in the mix, and he's going to be on his way into Q2. Don't forget, while there's 7 minutes of this session left, we of course had to focus on the top 12 drivers who will go through. You will often see the drivers in maybe 9th, 10th, 11th stay on the circuit and just make sure that they are out there to at least defend any sort of lap times that they need to put in. And right now, you can see actually John Newell in 9th place is back in the pits. Sasha Lenz 10th at the moment. He won't be too pleased with that, especially now he's second in the championship. We also have, of course, down there Mark Taylor in 11th place as well. He had a difficult day yesterday. But, well, it's part and parcel of these qualifying sessions. He's come into the pits, though, in 11th, and that will see him through. Just looking up and down the sector times, it doesn't seem there's really much in between them all, except for Norby in Sector 2. Sector 2 seems like a really, really even balance from a number of the drivers at the moment. And there is Jochen Hahn's mechanics. Just making sure all the tyre pressures are spot on, making sure that, of course, there's the water in the tanks is maybe drained. They have to keep water in the tanks, of course, for the braking systems and for the radiators. I've just had word from Clemens Hecker's team as well that they're having to change the entire engine of his truck, so they're not going to be out in qualifying. That's why we only have the 15 trucks on track this time round. We have Stefan Faas still on track at the moment. And he's hoping to improve and get just a bit further inside that top 12. Just to be a little bit more safe, because if any of the drivers improve behind them, just like Jonathan Andre just did, if they improve that little bit more, just 1/10 of a second extra, he'll be further up. Sasha Lenz with a big lock-up out of the window, and luckily we caught that on the stream as well, going very deep into that left-hander. Hopefully it remains that he doesn't lose out much in terms of lap time. Stefan Faas crossed the line and no improvement there. So no major improvement for him right now. But he's still in 12th place, which is the position that matters at the moment for him to be able to go forward into Q2, of course. Mark Taylor just on the cusp as well, but Jonathan Andre, Luke Garrett, Stefan Kirsch, the drivers with the work to do. Let's not forget that Stefan Kirsch is now top of the championship in the Chrome standings after the first 2 races of the season. There is Jonathan Andre on screen, hoping to improve just that little bit more. Like I say, between him and Stefan Faas, there's barely 1/10 of a second, so he's not got a massive amount of time to gain to move further forward. Across the line now, just in front of me, is Sasha Lenz once again. There he is on your screens. He's just 1.1 seconds off at the moment, which shows you just how close it is. 1 second, basically, filling the entire top 10 at this point. Norbert Kish is 2/10 of a second ahead of Albacete. He's 2/10 ahead of Lucas Hahn, who is then only 0.06 of a second ahead of Jochen Hahn. Rene Reinert is almost identical times with Steffi Helm. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez almost identical times with Bradley Smith. It's incredibly close this session so far. I'm very intrigued to see how this continues on into Q2 and then of course Q3. You see there Steffi Helm's mechanics checking the truck over, and there is the 5th wheel on the back that shows the Total Energies branding. It was great to catch up with Jean-Francois Toulis who you would have seen the clip from earlier on in the show, I should say, talking to us about their 100% renewable HVO diesel, and of course their development roadmap for Total Energies, not just in terms of biodiesel, but obviously other energies as well, as they follow along parallel with the industry, and of course our wonderful sport that sits so well hand in hand with it. There's Stefan Faas in the gorgeous, gorgeous Freightliner. It's so cool to see one of them back on the grid. We will, of course, have a Mercedes back on the grid this season for the first time since 2020. Louis Rykwenko will be joining us. Unfortunately, he was unable to join us for the first round of the championship here this weekend, but we'll see him from the Slovakia ring onwards in just a week's time. Really excited to see that Mercedes out on track. It's based on the new shape Mercedes Actros, so it's got a very sort of soft, round front end. It's very strange to describe a truck as soft and round, but it really is. There's no sort of sharp corners or spikes or triangles on it. It's got this very elegant face as the Mercedes. Seen some great pictures of it, and we look forward to seeing Louis there, and hopefully he'll put on a show. He's always an exciting driver to watch. So too is Luke Garrett, but maybe a bit exciting for his own good. Might be a bit too excited by the new door that they've put on the side of the truck, but he went a little bit wide there into Curva Quercia. Sasha Len's going really slowly down the start-finish straight. He's just going past my commentary box now. Doesn't look like there's any problems with the truck. He's certainly not going to get round in time to do another lap, so I'm not quite sure what the slowing down is in aid of as he goes down the start-finish straight, but, well, I suppose there's surely some reason. He might have just abandoned the lap right at the end there at the final corner and then not had chance to basically get into the pit lane. Here is Luke Garrett making his way down towards the end of the lap. He was a little bit slower on the second half of the lap there, so I think he's just going to be winding the truck up ready for another go at the final corner. We're at René Reinert's truck because Louise is there ready for an interview.
Starting. We're going to have a quick chat with René Reinhardt here. As how is it, René? How is the qualifying for you?
Just after the first round, it's okay. And then the next round already, it's okay. But now it will be more difficult, you know.
Absolutely.
To reach the top 6, for sure is a target. We will see.
Yes. And how are the conditions for you as well? Because it's very hot out there today, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very hot outside, and the tarmac is also really hot. So it's everything about tire management.
Absolutely.
And also with the water, not too much, not too less, you know, and for the brakes. So not easy at the moment.
Okay. How is that impacting the rest of the races for you in the mindset? How are you feeling?
Say again, please.
How are you feeling about the rest of the races? How is the mindset for that for you?
You mean yesterday, the races?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I got some penalties in the first race. That was not so good. So actually I had for the second race a pole position, but they put me on P11 then, so I was not so happy. But in general, the last race was okay, from 11 to 7. So, but just 4 points for the first day is not enough.
Well, hopefully a better day today. It's going to be okay. I'm going to leave you to it. Thank you so much. Thank you. Back to you, Chaz.
Thank you, Louise. Always good to see René Reinert. He's always got a good answer as well. It must be a German thing because I think Jochen Hahn's very much the same as well. They always have good answers for these things. Always good to see René, though, in that ex-Norbert Kish truck, the MAN. Very well-built machine, very fast indeed. And René showed us that last season with a number of race victories. He really benefited from the reverse grid pole positions as well. He was very quick in qualifying, but then just benefited from being near the front of the grid in the second races to really blast away while other Titan drivers couldn't quite stick with him. There's Sasha Lenz on his way into the pit lane. You can hear there Jonathan Andre's truck bouncing around and shredding the tyres as he goes for the line with the checkered flag out. And it's not an improvement, unfortunately, for Jonathan Andre. He will be out of Q1. Sasha Lenz will make it through in 10th position. What about Luke Garrett? Can he improve at the end? And he does, but it's not enough to go through. Louise is with Steffi Halm.
Okay. Steffi, how are you feeling? How was the qualifying for you?
Yeah, the first session is over. We are on 6, so it feels good. I hope we can go a little bit faster in the Q2. This was the plan, to save a little bit the tires in Q1 and be fast in Q2, and then hopefully we are able to manage today Q3.
Absolutely. And the conditions are very hot today as well. How is it out there on the grid?
2 degrees more or less. I think you don't feel it in the track, and now the concentration is high, so the temperature don't matter.
That's it. And yesterday as well, it was a little bit of a weird one, wasn't it? How are you feeling after yesterday's?
Yeah, yesterday was very difficult because with all the decisions after the race, it was hard to handle.
Absolutely. Steffi, thank you so much. Back to you, Chaz.
Thank you, Louise. You can hear there Steffi Halms-Iveco firing up, ready for Q2. Now that Q1 is over and we know which drivers are going through, we unfortunately will not have Luke Garrett going through, Jonathan Andre and Stefan Kirsch not making it through. Stefan currently in the championship lead in the Chrome class. Quite a surprise not to see him going through, but shows you that pace on Saturday doesn't always mean pace on Sunday. We'll see just how he gets on for the rest of the weekend, though, because qualifying isn't everything. He might make some really good progress during the races. We'll have to wait and see. There is Jonathan Andre on his way back in. The Lion, unfortunately, with its tail between its legs. Seemingly like there's no wing mirrors on that truck. I hadn't noticed that before. A number of the trucks do have their usual wing mirrors. They're often easier to see out of and pick details out of than any sort of screens. I know a few friends of mine that are truck drivers that prefer conventional mirrors to a screen or a camera, so to speak. But a number of these trucks have cameras in and out and around them, so plenty of chance to see behind them and obviously defend positions. Luke Garrett there just moving around a little bit on the straight, maybe just testing something to do with the steering. They used to have a lot of issues with steering boxes, did Luke and his team, but in the last year or so they seem to have gotten over those gremlins. But yesterday was a shock absorber issue, I believe. Just checking, I had the message from Diana Garrett yesterday. Yes, she said they had a shock absorber that had gone. I must say a huge thank you again, but to everybody in the paddock that sends me information. I'm very, very lucky to receive a lot of info while these races go on. People know that I'm the one that communicates it to all of you wonderful people at home, and yeah, I'm in a very, very privileged place. I know that 8-year-old me would have been screaming in the opportunity to be in a motorsport paddock, and let alone talk about one of them. But yeah, to be here and have all the information given to me like this, it's a dream come true, and I hope that you really do feel that in the way I commentate. But I'm very grateful to those that provide me with all the information and make my job that little bit easier. One truck family, right? Jonathan Andre making his way down the pit lane into the Parc Ferme area. Well, he will actually go into his own awning, but the trucks go into a Parc Ferme state, so the teams may not work on them for a certain amount of time. It's the same after the races as well. It's quite a funny moment, actually, if I ever have a chance where there's nothing to do directly after a race, no interviews, pieces to camera, anything like that. You can take a quick walk through the paddock, and all the trucks are back. They're all in their awnings. They're all nice and tidied, but everyone's just sat around unable to do anything. They're not allowed to touch the trucks. They're not allowed to fix anything or even clean it. They have to leave the truck as it was in the state that it finished the race, just while all the checks are done and everybody has all of the details confirmed from the race. And then, all of a sudden, they get told, right, time to work on them, and off we go. Out of the pit lane we go for Q2. Everybody will leave the pit lane in the order that they were in from the end of that last session. And now back into the sunshine they go. I imagine they probably enjoyed the minute or two where they were able to just sit in the shade for a moment. And I know all the fans are going to be in the shade and taking care. There's one of Lucas Hahn's team members. It's a heck of a beard, that. I'm very jealous. Norbert Kish leads them then down to Curva Quercia. He's got Antonio Albacete, his ex-teammate, right behind him in the MAN. And then Lucas Hahn third, Jochen Hahn fourth. Behind them in fifth place, René Reiner. And then we have Steffi Halm following her, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Bradley Smith doing really well in that first session, and then John Newell as well. Sasha Lenz next up in his MAN. He'll want a bit more than that from this session. And it's Mark Taylor. And Stefan Fass makes his way into Q2 in the Freightliner. Quite interesting how that worked out, actually. The cameraman captured all the trucks in order that I could then just get them coming into view from my commentary box window. So that worked out quite nicely, just to break the fourth wall slightly. But Norbert Kish now on his way down the back straight at reduced pace, of course. René Reinert next up there with Steffi Halm, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. Quite a bit of daylight around Bradley Smith there. He'll be happy with that, because it means that he's got a gap to drive into. If he needs to rein it in slightly on his lap, then he's got a bit of daylight behind him as well. There is Lucas Hahn, qualified second on the grid yesterday. Did a really, really good job. Everybody just filtering through the very tight last sector of the circuit. We're not doing the full circuit here at Curva del Carro, so we have a much shorter version of it. But it's not often we have trucks this close together, actually, going into Q2, so they're following on quite closely to each other. Norbert Kish there, reigning champion, 7-time champion of the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. He won 2 titles back-to-back in 2014 and 2015, and then of course had a bit of a break from winning titles. Jochen Hahn and Adam Lachko taking a few of them, and then straight back into 2021 after the COVID pandemic. Norby was straight back on form with Revace Racing, and well, like I say, with the return to live broadcasting for the series, he has been winning championships ever since. Maybe I'm his good luck charm. Imagine having such an honour. Antonio Albacete, second place on track right now with Lucas Hahn and Jochen Hahn right behind. We see John Newell on screen, just ahead of Sasha Lenz. You can see just how much now they've spread out as they get onto their fast laps. They're giving it much more daylight. And Lucas has actually got Jochen right behind him there for a bit of pressure, just to say the least. And have a look at their sector times. Norbert Kish doing a 32.8 in Sector 1. Nobody else except for Antonio and Lucas in the 32s, actually. 32.9 for Lucas. Everybody else in the 33s. Looks like the slowest first sector so far was set by Sasha Lenz, actually, a 33.8. It's not quite got the pace here this morning, by the look of it. Sector 2, Norbert Kish actually been slightly matched there, actually, by... Oh, in fact, he's been beaten by Jochen Hahn. Jochen Hahn doing a 47.2, Norbert Kish doing a 47.4. Jochen Hahn doing the fastest second sector, a lot of them doing almost identical times. 47.471, 472, 473. A few of them all matching times, but let's see what the full lap looks like. And it's Norbert Kish across the line. A 201.7 is faster than he went in Q2 yesterday, and it's a 201.9 for Jochen Hahn. That puts him second fastest. Antonio Albacete is next up with Lucas Hahn in fourth place. René Reinert fifth with a 202.9, 203.3 for Steffi Halm. That puts her in sixth place. Let's not forget, they need to be in the top 6 to go through into Q3. So that top 6 position is all important. More times come in. Sasha Lenz ends up in 8th, Newell 9th, Steffi Halm ends up in 10th place as Bradley Smith goes back into the top 5. So too does Jose Eduardo Rodriguez into the top 6. René Reinert is now dropped down out of that top 6 into 7th place. Stefan Fass is 12th, 2.5 seconds off. He had a bit of a lackadaisical final sector by the look of it. In fact, no, sorry, it was his middle sector. He lost 0.6 of a second in the middle sector alone. But coming out of Curva Quercia to go round the long left-hander and up the hill is so important to get the power down smoothly through there. And it's really easy to overdo it. Just light up the rear axle and then slide wide, lose all your momentum up the hill. Because these trucks have such massive amounts of torque, you have to make sure you're in the right gear at the right time and not snatch those rear wheels and brake traction. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez is going to be happy to be in the top 6, but I just wonder who else is going to go back for a fast lap. They should only get one more fast lap, really, because it's only a 10-minute session. It's about 3 minutes a lap when they take these slower laps in between. And even on a fast lap, you're talking 2 minutes per lap at least, as we've seen. We wait now for the drivers to make their way back around. As Javier Martin from Goodyear. I'm intrigued to see what the final moments of this session have in store. Well, a slightly sort of background behind the scenes note in another truck racing championship on a very small island called the United Kingdom. Good friend of mine and a chief engineer of John Newell's team, Terry Gibbon, has been announced that he's going to be racing in the championship in replace of Ricky Collett later on this season, which is good to see. Terry's a good peddler. He's a great engineer. He's built his own truck as well. But he's going to be driving Ricky Collett's truck, as I saw this morning. That's some interesting news. I'll have to go and say hello to him later. Anyway, René Reinert crosses the line then. He's the next one to stay on the circuit. Sasha Lenz, Steffi Halm, Jose Eduardo Rodriguez, and in the background as well, I believe, is that John Newell? It is, yes. John going with them. Antonio Albacete has come into the pit lane. We should also have Norbert Kish in the pit lane too. Bradley Smith just goes through. Mark Taylor crossing the line as well. Antonio will be pretty pleased with that. I know that he won't mind that he's not quite fastest in this session, but he's at least going through. That's one of the important things. But right now, I'm just going to keep an eye on the sector times. We can only see the last sectors that they did, though, not the best ones. So René Reinert, 33.3 for him. René Reinert, currently the fastest of them, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, looks like Jose Eduardo Rodriguez has actually just beaten him only by a few thousandths of a second, but in fact, all of the drivers on circuit have only been separated by 0.2 of a second in Sector 1. They're all doing between 33.3s, or low 33.3s anyway, and 33.6s. Let's have a look at Sector 2, shall we? Anybody standing out there? René Reinert will be the first to set a time, 47.6. Driving behind him on circuit, Sasha Lenz goes 0.2 faster. They all go quicker than Jose Eduardo Rodriguez. What about Bradley Smith in 5th place? 48.8 further down, though, for John Newell. He's not had a middle sector to write home about. Bradley Smith does a 47.5, so quickest of them in that middle sector at the moment is Sasha Lenz. And Jose Eduardo Rodriguez will have his relevant time deleted for a penalty marker in turn 8. Now, will this be the current lap that he's on, or will it be that fast lap? Because to pick a penalty marker up from turn 8 and already know that you've got the time deleted is quite late on in the lap. Let's see. René Reinert across the line. Doesn't look like he's improved much, but up into the top 6 goes Sasha Lenz. Bradley Smith stays in there. Jose Eduardo Rodriguez does not improve. There's no improvement from Rodriguez. There's no improvement from John Newell, I don't think. What about Bradley Smith? He's about to cross the line. Can he go into Q3 for the second time in 2 days? It certainly looks like it. Looks like there's a little bit of movement. Mark Taylor has moved ahead of Steffi Halm for 8th position. And I think that's how they're going to lock in. The qualifying session will come to a close. And for the second day running in the 2026 season, we've got 2 Chrome drivers making it through into the top 6 positions there. We've got Sasha Lenz between them, with Lucas Hahn 4th, Bradley Smith in 6th. But that is a fantastic performance, once again, by 2 of our, not just Chrome superstars, of course, but young driver superstars. And the checkered flag is out. John Newell is going for another lap. He had a bit of a miserable middle sector last time round, so I know that he's going to try and keep it smooth on this one. We'll see what he does. He was looking at 33.3s on the previous lap. He's done a 33.6 this time round. But that middle sector definitely needed work last time round. He's about to trigger the next time in line, I believe, as he just comes down to Curvone here. He's going to come towards the camera, and just as he goes through the right-hander, he will trigger it now. 47.7, it's only a 1/10 of a second faster than the relatively off-pace middle sector he had last time round. You can hear Boris, the local commentator here at Misano, echoing around the circuit. I went to say hello to him yesterday. I met him a few years ago commentating on other racing series here at the beautiful Misano. And he's such a great character. It's lovely to always see him around. Same with John Newell. John Newell's always a laugh. He might not be much of a laugh after this session because this isn't quite going well. He'll be happy that he's made it into Q2, of course, but yeah, the lack of progress from there, we'll have to see. He's ahead of Stefan Fass. Across the line he goes. His previous best was a 2:03.3, and it's just a 2:03.774 for John Newell this time round. So that will bring qualifying 2 to a close. And that man there, Bradley Smith, flying the flag as ever, showing that yesterday was just a flash in the pan with that disqualification, and he is ready to score points. Obviously, the first race of the day, very important because the grid and the result is set more on merit than the reverse grid race. They score more points for it, so Bradley wants to try and get those 20 championship points in Chrome, where Lucas Hahn will obviously try and defend. But with knowing that Lucas is not here for every round this season, Bradley needs to take advantage of that and do what he can to remain near the top of that championship. He came so close to beating that guy there, actually, Mark Taylor, in 2025. And it went down to the wire in the beautiful Spanish sunshine of Jarama. Rene Reiner has just popped past the commentary box. And all the drivers will now filter down the pit lane, I imagine, into order once again. I think the problem, though, for the drivers that stay out quite late on in the session is that they don't get as long for the truck to cool down and obviously prepare for the next part of the session. So they have to go straight from one to the next. Bradley Smith peels in that new to them MAN anyway. It's an ex-Antonio Albacete truck, that one, so it's well prepared by T-Sport Burnau. And like Tony said yesterday, Bradley's dad, that Tim Frost from T-Sport Burnau has been supporting Bradley beautifully since he started truck racing. And it's great to see that one truck family mantra, you know, that truck changes hands from Antonio, 3-time European champion, and is now in the hands of the up-and-coming, very capable Bradley Smith. The fans enjoying themselves. That's a decent lens on that camera. Not quite sure what it is. I know my cameras quite well. I was nerding out this morning with Nico from our TV company about cameras and lenses and all sorts. We had a good giggle in the paddock about that. There's Norbert Kish, ready to go again from the end of the pit lane. It's a position that he's used to being in, right at the front, ready to get moving. As you can see, the grandstands, the terrace at the top, all packed today with lots of people here to come and see the action. Having a walk earlier through the paddock with Louise, we were completing a lot of social content. And there was absolutely thousands of people flooding in through the gates. It was lovely. A lovely atmosphere down there. We have trucks now heading to the end of the pit lane, ready to go. And everybody, as you can see now, waiting patiently for the action to get back underway. Q3 will just be 5 minutes, so with them doing nearly a 3-minute outlap here at Misano, they only get one bite of the cherry to try and set a good qualifying time. Sometimes, though, if they're quick enough on that outlap, they can set 2 lap times. And there is the green light. Norbert Kish will pop out of the pit lane and begin that outlap. Bradley Smith there will complete the 6 drivers. He's got Sascha Lenz just ahead of him, then Lucas Hahn, Antonio Albacete, Jochen Hahn and Norbert Kisch. Between the top 3 in this session is 16 drivers' titles. It's incredible. Albacete with 3, Jochen Hahn with 6, Norbert Kisch with 7. An amazing achievement. Great to have all 3 of them still racing with us, of course, together in this paddock. Such fantastic pedigree of these drivers. But this is the calm before the storm here, where the drivers just head down on these laps. Joe's got a big smile on his face this morning. That's no surprise. He's going to be really pleased. Great to see the Don't Touch Racing support still for Smith Truck Racing. It's lovely that they still have the Don't Touch kit on. And obviously, we look forward to seeing Sven Walter later on in the season at the Nürburgring. He's a very prominent figure in truck racing, and it's lovely to know that he'll still be around, still supporting, after the Don't Touch Racing squad left the championship at the end of last year. And as I said to Tony yesterday, actually, it must have been a very difficult winter knowing that there wasn't a team for them to race for. They had to sort of be their own team now. It must have been really, really tough, but they've done very, very well with it. And proof is in the pudding. And at the end of the day, Bradley Smith now sits inside Q3 for the 2nd day of the season in a truck that's new to him. So it'll be great to see if he sees that through. Norbert Kisch, though, wanting to take another pole position here. And we'll see just how well he can do that and how quickly he can get to it. Sascha Lenz making his way round. Bradley Smith just behind him. We have, as of this moment, 2 Ivecos in the top 6 and 4 MANs. None of the Scanias, unfortunately, making it through. And they rumble past the commentary box window. Such a great noise, even from up here. But you can see the urgency about the bodywork and the body language of the truck now as Norby throws it into turn 1. Then into turn 2, nice and tidy through there. Such a stable platform in that MAN. They set it up so well, but at the same time you see it move around. You can see the back end trying to break away there through turn 3. Then hard onto the brakes into the almost triple right-hander down there at Curva del Rio. He's got Jochen Hahn right behind him, trying to fill the mirrors, trying to put pressure on. Even in a qualifying session, that can be of good use, to say the least. There is Jochen in the Iveco, a colour scheme we've seen him race in now for multiple years. Lovely looking race truck that he has. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Norby hard onto the brakes. Jochen still filling the mirrors. It's an interesting tactic, this. We've seen him do this a few times before, actually, where he does really fill the mirrors of Norbert Kisch's truck during qualifying. And I think we all know from the last couple of years that it's going to take quite a lot to dethrone Norby in any way, because his performance is just outstanding. The truck is always there and giving him what he wants. It really is lovely. And they now saw their way down the back straight. Looked like Bradley Smith went a little bit wide in the background there. Antonio Albacete looking tidy at the moment. Jochen is just quicker than Antonio. Antonio is just a bit quicker than Lucas. Lucas is half a second quicker than Sascha Lenz in the first sector. Norby is the only one to go under 33 seconds in the first sector. Fastest second sector was actually set by Antonio Albacete. Bradley Smith was third fastest through there. Apologies, it was Jochen Hahn third fastest. It was Antonio, then Norby, then Jochen, then Bradley. Final sector is going to be very important here because these laps are close together. Still 30 seconds left on the clock. They've really cracked on with it here in this session. First laps go on the board. It's a 2:01.7 for Norbert Kisch, just 76 thousandths of a second ahead of Jochen Hahn. Really close stuff. A 2:02.0 for Antonio Albacete, 2:02.6 for Lucas Hahn. Bradley Smith goes 5th fastest with a 2:03.0, a 2:03.1 for Sascha Lenz. That middle sector really letting down Sascha. But balanced out slightly. Lucas Hahn was the slowest in sector 2. So it was very, very close stuff. Now, will any of them go for another lap? Not sure they are doing. It is actually Antonio Albacete that's going for another lap. It looks like it. I don't know if he might just be taking the time to get back out there and, well, get ahead of the pack. I'm not sure. Looks like Lucas Hahn might be going for it as well, actually. Yeah, Antonio has backed off that lap now. You can tell he's moved over to the right-hand side. He's let Lucas through. Going to look at Lucas's sector times here. And it looks like at the moment he's done a 33.4 in Sector 1. Not bad at all. 33.197 by Albacete in Sector 1, but he's backed off the lap, like I say. So it's down to Lucas now to try and get a second lap out of this truck, but consecutive laps is really difficult to do. Let's see whether Lucas is able to pick anything up in the final sector. He's improved in the first one, which is important because that's where he lost a bunch of time earlier. Sector 2 as well, he dropped a couple of tenths. So we'll see whether he's able to make something of this final lap of the session. Let's see how much he can influence the grid. Boris, the local commentator, is actually already declaring the result. But I'm not sure if Lucas is going to be quicker or not here. It's going to be close. His best lap so far, a 2:03.1. Apologies, a 2:02.6 for Lucas Hahn. Cross line he goes. It's 2:03.2, 6 tenths down for Lucas Hahn. Doesn't improve. And that will be the end of the session. 2 pole positions in a row for Norbert Kish, the reigning champion. Jochen Hahn back on the front row. He'll be a lot more pleased with that instead of starting 4th like he did yesterday. In fact, the top 4 is pretty much the same. He's just swapped positions with his son. Lucas now starting on the 2nd row of the grid. At the end of the day, 2 and 2 makes 4, right? If you're looking at the truck number. And Bradley Smith, I'm sure, after yesterday's disqualification, will be really pleased that they've managed to get back into that top 6. Putting in a solid performance in a truck that's new to them. And everybody makes their way back into the pit lane. And then back into the paddock to prepare for the races later on today. Next broadcast local time will be 12:55, I believe. And then moving later into the afternoon. We're not quite as late on the air, actually, today. Yesterday evening we were done by nearly 7 o'clock local time. Just looking at my notes here for the other show times. I can't seem to access the sheet for it. It's 3:30 in the afternoon local time that we start the final session of the weekend. It's come around very, very quickly. These weekends do very often fly by, but time flies when you're having fun, right? Just look at that sky as well. I know you want to look at the pretty trucks, but look at the sky. There's not a single cloud anywhere. It is absolutely scorching here at Misano. I'm almost devastated that I now have to step outside this beautifully air-conditioned commentary box into the sunshine, but we don't get a lot of sun in the UK, so I have to enjoy it while it's here rather than complain about it. All the fans are staying put, making sure that they can stay in the shade as well. There's no support series here on a weekend like this with the Goodyear FIA European Truck Racing Championship. I think at 1 or 2 of the race meetings we have this year, we will have support series with us on the circuit. So obviously we need to be really strict with our timings, and the fans will stick around for other races to watch in between as well. But this is purely truck racing here at Misano this weekend. There's some demonstrations as well from other trucks. But let's have a look at the results, shall we? And see just how that one finished. Norbert Kish, fastest once again, 2:01.795. A lovely lap. He finishes ahead of Jochen Hahn in 2nd place. Antonio Albacete will line up alongside Lucas Hahn on row 2. Then we have Bradley Smith alongside Sasha Lenz. Sasha 2nd in the championship at the moment, so he's going to want to hold on to those points. We then have Rene Reinert and Mark Taylor, with Stephanie Halm and Jose Eduardo Rodriguez completing the top 10. It's a very feisty top 10. John Newell finished 11th ahead of Stefan Faas. Those two got through into Q2. Jonathan Andre was 13th ahead of Luke Garrett. And Chrome Championship leader Stefan Kirsch could only manage 15th place. Unfortunately, Clemens Hecker not in that session. They're doing an engine change this morning. They're hoping to at least be ready for the last race of the weekend. They've not got long until race number 3 of the weekend, race number 1 of today. So they're going to have to crack on and get that engine changed as quickly as possible. We'll keep our fingers crossed for them, obviously. Look forward to seeing them out on track, hopefully later today. But these things take time, and obviously there's a lot of components, a lot of very heavy components as well, to be changed in that machine. It's a new truck for them this year at the Clemens Hecker Racing Team. A new truck called Alva, taking over from their beloved Minna from last year. Minna is in reserve and she's ready to go, but they can't realistically be bringing both trucks with them everywhere they go. There's the Goodyear tent that we have here with Xavier Martin and that lovely DAF working hard over the course of the weekend. There are the massive selection of tyres that they have here. Every single race meeting we go to, it amazes me how many tyres they have every single time. Xavier does a lovely job. There's Davide Califano from Goodyear as well. Xavier does a lovely, lovely job here at the circuit, and he does a great job documenting it all on his social media as well, actually, with some beautiful pictures of his travels. Let's have a word with a driver that I'm sure is very happy, Bradley Smith with Louise.
Bradley, how are you feeling after that? It's a very hot one today, isn't it?
Very warm here today in Misano, but no, over the moon. First weekend in this truck, we had a nightmare at Moss, so I only done like 8 or 9 laps in it, so we didn't really know what to expect, but to get into both Q3 sessions, it's just been unbelievable. Yeah, the truck's unbelievable. Tim and Melly have been a massive help, so massive thank you to them. The truck's an absolute weapon. I love driving now. I'm just getting more confident in it every day, so yeah, see what we can do in race 1.
That's what I mean. Yeah, how are you feeling? Yeah, it's creeping up on us now, isn't it? And what are your expectations for race 1?
Yeah, it's so weird. Like this time last year, by the end of the race, like there was like nearly a quarter of a lap in front of me, the people I'm with now. So it's just getting in my brain the confidence that I can keep with them now, and I've got the truck beneath me. So yeah, full attack now in race 1.
That's it. Yeah, and it's a new. It's nice to drive something new, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh no, the truck's unbelievable. Tim, and everyone at Unit 8 and T-Sport Burnout, he can build a truck, can't he? So yeah, I love it.
Thank you so much, Bradley. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. See you later, guys. We'll catch you at race 1.